Wagwan me people, quick thing before we kick off. The views where you hear upon the Father to Father podcast, them strictly for why, the hosts, guests and contributors. Them now represent Catholic Notebook, Spirit Stream Studios, the Diocese, University, or any affiliated groups. You see me? And remember, this podcast are strictly for adult ears, so listen up with discretion.
Welcome to Father, where life and faith meet. A place for the soul, where wisdom speaks. Hope in the message, strength in the beat. Welcome to Father, where life and faith meet.
What's up, man?
Cracking.
Hey, you actually got some sleep today.
Yeah.
I know you don't drink caffeine. Well, no, C4. Hey, you get C4.
Yeah, before the workouts.
That's fair.
Give me a promotion.
Yeah. hey, if anyone's thinking about promoting us, whether you're the C4, that's it, or gamer subs, yeah, we'll take that.
That was him. He wants gamer subs.
I want gamer subs. I don't play video games like I used to. Father Greg does. He's
not barely.
I mean,
I still have to play.
How's Madden feel?
It feels fantastic on the PS4.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Does it? Mm-hmm. But you know what else feels fantastic? Getting a 5 stars. And so
I walked right into that.
Yes, you did. Hey, and you know what else you can walk into? You can walk into your best listening hour of the day listening to Dr. Giovanni and
Father Greg Lambert.
my right hand, my main man, like always.
It's
and,
your boy.
Hey, and you know what? Drop us 5 stars. Drop us 5 stars. I'm tired of just being polite about it.
You were being polite?
I was being polite before. Just give us 5 stars. Give us 5 stars. And you know what? And if you'd like to support us and support Speech from Series, let them know that you love us. Tell them you love us. Notice I'm saying us now. It's no longer just Father Greg. Us. I want to feel some love. Show me the love.
It
doesn't matter. I've already started. Go to catholicnotebook.org/father to father. That's catholicnotebook.org/F2F. And, let us know what you think about the show, what you think about us, what you think about everything. You know what? We got a little bit of a tip jar there too. I found that out. You click on the tip jar. You give like $3, $5, $8, $12.
Look at $8.
Some people do. All right. Not everybody's rolling in holy money.
But this is an odd amount. Anyway.
Next time you go to church and you see only one toilet in the bathroom and you just spent $90,000 on your new toilet renovations, ask yourself the question: could that have gone better to catholicnotebook.org/father? It probably could.
The money is washed. What's the issue?
It was washed in the blood of Jesus. Yo, I'm ready to get started, man. You ready?
Yeah. That's how we're starting. Here we go.
Tell me, baby, what's the word on the street? Is it love or is it lies beneath our feet? I'm holding on, but the world feels incomplete.
So the Catholic Religion, like always, they go out in the community, they find some, but this time, these are just confessions. People are just confessing what they have.
Oh.
They're confessing their hearts, they're confessing their different things that happened to them. Okay?
I guess.
So this one, they said, I told my grandmother I was joining a convent, so she would stop asking when I'd get married. Now, she tells everyone, I'm going to be devoted to the Lord. Meanwhile, I got a situationship with a bartender last weekend.
Okay.
We don't act like a nun and priest.
Oh.
That's her confession.
Oh.
So she's out here lying to grandma.
I mean,
Being like, hey, yo, grandma, I'm going to be a nun. Stop asking. And she's like, oh my gosh, my baby's going to be a nun. My baby. And it's like all of a sudden, nah.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
It's too damn bad. Go work for Jesus. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Oh my goodness. I promise you I wouldn't make that joke in confession, but I just like, well,
Okay, so first and foremost, the way the segment works, you're going to have to tell me, did they commit a sin?
Yes.
Yes or no, did they commit a sin? If they did commit a sin, what was the sin that was committed? Like, and then ultimately, like, what would be their, like, penance kind of thing?
Okay.
Okay? So, did they commit a sin?
Yes.
Okay, what was the sin that was committed?
Lying and, painting a false picture of your life to your grandma.
Okay, cool.
Oh, also the implied sexual sin.
Oh, okay. All right.
Implied. She didn't say it objectively, but she kind of
Yeah, she kind of implied. I mean, like, yo, we don't act like a nun and priest. Like, I don't. Like, okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. And so, like, what would be like the absolution or like not the absolution, the penance that you would give for that?
This sounds super stereotypical, but honestly, in this situation, I would do 3 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys, and this is the reason why: is that Mary always leads us closer to her Son. So I like the Hail Mary prayer. And it's also good for purity as well. She's a good woman. Of course, she's the Blessed Mother, but like she is a woman of women, right? So I would say 3 Hail Marys. That's one for herself, the person who's confessing, one for the boyfriend, the bartender, and then one for grandma. Right. The people that have basically gotten apart at this whole entire situation. But also Our Fathers, to unite ourselves to God.
Okay.
One for the grandma, one for her, and then one for the bartender.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. All right, cool. All right, next one. Okay, so I was in a parking lot waiting for my friend. This guy came up to me with a wad of cash and asked me if I got it. I panicked, just nodded, and before I knew it, I sold my cousin's oregano to some random dude who definitely thought it was weed. So, did they commit a sin?
Yeah.
Okay. What sin was committed?
I mean, it's not just a lie, but it's a lie on a vulnerable person.
Okay. Yeah. And so, like, what would be your penance at that point? Don't get caught outside by yourself.
Like legit? Like this is so incredibly dangerous? And I just know this. I know this is a privileged person. Like I just know that it is. Also, why do you have oregano in your car?
in a baggie. On top of that.
Are you Papa John's? Who are you? What is this? Come on, man.
I just carry oregano out in dime bags. I thought everybody does that.
I bet you Italian.
I season. No, I don't want you defaming Italians. Our Sicilian people out there, my Sicilian people, don't be doing that. Don't be doing all that. Out here besmirching Italian names. No, we don't carry oreganos like that. We carry whole blocks of Parmesan cheese. Like,
yo. Hey, you stop grinning when I say when.
You joke. A complete side note, you want to know the reason why, like, a lot of it's like, okay, I found this out. So, I found this out. We're going left. No, we're not going left. We're not going left right now. We're not going left. It's real quick, and then we'll go back to this real quick. I found this out. So, there is a small subsection of my family that is from Sicily, right?
Yeah.
And they all have lactose intolerant problems, but they also only eat Parmigiano Reggiano, and that's it. And I was like, how the heck do you have lactose problems and you eat Parmesan cheese? Turns out Parmesan cheese is 20 years age and it does not have the lactate in it. And so that's why they're able to eat Parmesan cheese. So I'm like,
they are in for a rude awakening when they go to America.
No, they did. And that's how they found out. It's because they were eating, because keep this in mind, you go to Italy, Alfredo in Italy is Parmesan cheese grated with aged butter. So the butter could be like 20 years old, but it's aged butter, salt, pepper. That's it. That's all it is for Parmesan cheese. And you're using the liquid from the pasta, and the pasta flour isn't really like all wheat. Yeah. It's just like a combination of other things as well. So it's like, okay, cool. So the percentage of wheat in your flour is like super, super low. So that on top of that, they're like, yo, we didn't know that we were gluten intolerant and lactose intolerant until we came to Disney World. And when they went to Disney World, they're like, yo, we'll get Alfredo. And then the dad like sat down and was like, oh yeah, you know, Alfredo. And he ate it and he's like, what? And the kid's just like, oh, I'm just eating it. 15 minutes later, the kid's like, I don't feel good.
I bet.
Everybody was down, dog. Everybody was down. And I was like,
Come glowed red.
Everybody was down. I was like, oh, that explains a lot, actually.
Everybody bloated.
Everybody was down.
Oh my goodness.
The whole week, they were just living in the bathroom for the whole week. Anyways, so what would your penance be for dime bag oregano guy?
I would say go to the chapel and pray for 15 minutes for people who suffer from addictions.
Oh, that's good. That's good. All right, one more. So my ex got a new girlfriend, and I was curious. So, so just a little bit internet stalking. Saw her profiles were private. So I made a fake account as a guy. She got her to accept my friend request. One thing led to another, and she thinks I'm David from Chicago, the only guy who truly understands her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she saw her ex. So this confession is pretty much like, yo, I saw my ex and I felt a certain type of way that he's dating again. So then I saw his girl. I looked her up. I went on a deep dive, and then I became David from Chicago. And David from Chicago got her to just feel like the only person that understands her is David from Chicago. Little does she know, David from Chicago is actually just Bernice. So yeah,
Bernice from West Union.
From West Union. That's pretty much it. So, did she commit a sin?
Yes.
Okay.
Emphatic yes.
Okay. No. So, what was the sin?
The sin, I was gonna say being petty. That's not the sin.
That's not the sin.
The sin in reality is deception of this individual.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Cool. And what would be your penance that you would give her?
I feel like a lot of people don't often understand this, but priests don't run people's lives, especially when it comes to confession. Like we treat this as hallowed ground. It's something sacred. So I can't make another individual do something. Some people are going to listen to this and say, well, for her penance, you should go ahead and make sure that she says that she goes up to the ex-boyfriend and say, hey, it's me. Bernice from West Union is actually,
Oh, jeez.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
I will never do that. No priest should be able ever to do that. Right. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Cause I think a lot of people, like you're saying, a lot of people think if you go to confession, the priest is going to tell you like, hey, yo.
Tell your wife that you're cheating on her.
Yeah.
No, they can't do that. No priest can do that. So when it comes to the penance situation, this is a little bit difficult because we're talking about not just what the individual did, but the fact that she definitely wants to be seen and understood. It's unclear on whether or not she decided to catfish her ex because she still loves her ex, or she decided to catfish her ex because her ex decided to move on. I think it's probably the latter,
Right.
but I don't know. Okay. And so the penance here for this situation is supposed to, one, address the crime, address the sin, but also repair. That's what penances are supposed to be. They're supposed to direct us back towards God. They're not just supposed to be meaningless suffering. Okay. So that being said, I would say, honestly, just one Our Father.
Okay.
But a slow Our Father. And I'm going to emphasize the slow part because there's a lot of great things that the Our Father promises and that we blow through it all the time. But if we slow down and we say it line by line and give it a one Mississippi in the middle of each line, you will be shocked by, oh, wow, God is promising me this? Oh, I didn't know because we speed past it.
Okay, great. Well, that's all the time we got. That is Word on the Street. Confession edition.
Hey. Only on Thursdays.
Only on Thursdays.
Hey, tell me, baby, what's the word on the street? Is it love or is it lies beneath our feet? I'm holding on, but the world
Hey, man.
doesn't come
Yo,
complete.
so
Baby, what's the word on the word?
listen, I've been getting this question a lot this week, and so I figured you can answer it. Okay. Am I doing enough for God? And I've been getting a lot this week via email and also just random people that I'm meeting. And they was like, hey, yo, I heard the podcast and you guys talking about, how do I know I'm doing enough? When is enough enough? Like, I go to church like every other weekend. Is that enough? Yeah, I get communion every other weekend. Is that enough? Do I got to do what my neighbors do? That they go to church every single week, or my grandma went to church every single day.
Yeah.
Like, when is enough for God?
Wow. Well, honestly, I find that a beautiful question.
I'm just going to let everybody know right now. Father Greg got this smile on his face like, ooh, I'm about to make y'all work. So you can't see it, but I can. And he was like, ooh, just wait. You about to get this. All right.
I'm really happy this is a visual.
All right, go ahead. I'm with it.
All right. So when it comes to the term of being enough, we got to really break down what that word means. If we're doing enough for God, we look at every single person within Scripture who has been looked at as good and faithful servant, those who have done enough for God. Usually those people have been isolated. Usually those people have been lonely and cast aside by all world powers. Usually those people have been denied in such a way that they have no choice but to despair within their own world or turn to God with everything. And I say that just to set the stage that the parish that I serve at as an associate pastor, big, beautiful parish, and this massive crucifix hangs from the ceiling. And it's Jesus on the cross, of course. But I often catch myself in Mass staring at it from the presider's chair. When I'm sitting in my chair, I look up all the time at this massive crucifix. And I'm looking at this crucifix because that is the end point. That's what enough is. That's it. That's what God wants of us. He doesn't want just endless suffering. That's not what the crucifix is. It never has been. From the outside looking in, it looks like torture and death. For the Romans, it was torture and death. It was a symbol of destruction, of 100% obedience. It was the symbol of do not step out of line or this will happen to you. That's what the crucifix was. Now, what it is then total embodiment of a savior, of real love, of what God himself was willing to do all the way through for you and for me. There will never be enough time to look at that and to fully understand it, deep it, and appreciate it for what it really is. But what we do is respond within our actions as human beings. Respond with our hearts and our minds at Mass. And yeah, monetarily, yeah, we give to the poor and we give to situations of times when we're going to be able to help people. So yeah, sometimes you give to your parish as well. But what is enough for God? That question is too big and too small at the same time. It's too simple of something to ask, and the answer is also too big. What does God deserve? He died for you and he died for me. So what does he deserve? He deserves everything. I have given my entire life, and I will promise you this, as a priest, I don't like doing all of it. There's certain things I sit in meetings for like 2 hours. And I'm like, we're talking about nothing. We are talking about ministry and not doing it. This is ridiculous. And there's times when I do things and it is so incredible, the minuteness, to be able to put my finger in oil and bless someone and anoint them before they go home. It seems like a very minute thing from the outside, but it's not. I've given my whole entire life to this. And though I may not love every single thing that I do, it is 100% worth it. Because God deserves that. He gave to me first, so I give to everyone else for the rest of my life until I die. Now, this isn't to poo-poo on anybody who's thinking like, man, this is hard. Ministry is hard. Man, this is hard. Taking care of kids is hard. Man, this is hard. Being a teacher is hard. Of course it's hard. I understand that. I feel you. I truly do. This is not to put myself above anyone else or to put anyone else above someone else. But what I am saying is enough is going to look different for every single person. And at the end of the day, everyone is called to something different. There's a Mother Teresa, and then there's a Martin Luther King. There's a Martin DePores, and then there's
A Booker T. Washington.
a Booker T. Washington. Hey, everyone's a little bit different. We're all called to different things. Just because some person has a camera in front of their face and another person is hiding away in a monastery does not mean that they're not doing God's work. So follow your vocation and continue to do God's work, because that's what you're called to. That's it.
Yeah. Dang. All right, man. Yo. Yeah. There's nothing to say about that, though. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And only you and God can decide when enough is enough.
So pass that collection basket.
Hey, and stop putting Washingtons in there. Why don't you put a Benjamin every once in a while?
Give me a Benny. Let me see a Benny.
Let me see a Benny. Do the Benny shake. Hey, make that Benny shake. Yo, hey, that was a theology moment. Let it soak in. I got a lot to think about. I don't know about you.
Yo, Father Greg, Dr. G, what's good? I know it sounds clear, I know it's misunderstood. The story's wild, yes, out there, no doubt. But just lean in close, just hear me out. Hear me, hear me, hear me out. Give me time, let me speak, no doubt. The truths in my words, the realness will shout. All I'm asking is hear me out.
You already know what it is. Hey, you know, this is the number one segment. This is everybody's like, ooh, it's gonna be good. It's hear me out. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be fatherly advice, but let's get messy.
No. Fatherly advice is like that creeping segment. Like people, we're gonna have one show. There's gonna be one show where it's just nothing but fatherly advice.
Oh.
It's just nothing but fatherly advice, and it's coming up. It's coming up soon. But it's just basically like people really love fatherly advice. As just like a way of like, oh, this is kind of nice, like meditative type of thing. They don't like it when I'm just very like empathetic. Apparently, that's been something I've gotten. That's like, you're too human. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? I mean, like, isn't that a good thing? It's like, nah, we can't hate you if you're human.
You can't have two Dr. Jackal's. You got to be, one of them's got to be Mr. Hyde.
One of them has to be horrible. We need to know where the bodies are. So they're like, yeah, it's great, but microdose it. Like, just give us small bits of.
Goodness.
Yeah, no, legit. But, 5 stars means you're in the clear. 1 star, confession on Thursdays. But hear me out. It's not even that bad. That's all it says. But hear me out. It's not even that bad. All right. It started at a wedding, a beautiful one, a huge cathedral, full choir. The reception, they were refilling champagne before you even realized your glass was empty.
Oof, yes.
1 second, I'm minding my own business. I'm deep in conversation with this good-looking man in the room. Tall, British, dangerous, charming. We talked, we danced. It was all very respectable. The next second, I'm waking up the next morning. And I hear his voice, steady, thoughtful, but reading a Bible verse.
Oh,
I roll over, confused. The man reading the Bible verse in bed, there was a man reading a Bible verse in bed, the same British guy. It was a theology textbook. There was a theology textbook on the desk. A cross on the wall. I sat up slow. Real slow. Then he looks at me completely unbothered and says, oh, by the way, I'm becoming a priest.
what?
Excuse me?
Nani?
I stared at him, waiting for the punchline.
As we all are.
Nothing. I blinked. You're what? He flipped through the page, very all casual, an Anglican piece.
Oh.
He says, like somehow that makes a difference.
I mean.
Then he tilts his head and actually has the nerve to say, wait, you didn't know? Sir. What? That's what she put. She's like, sir. What?
Goodness.
At what point between the open bar, the cha-cha slide, did he even mention that?
Because it's going too well. Why would you mention that? Allegedly.
Now, obviously, I had to go to confession.
Yeah. Wait, are you going to confession because he was a priest, or are you going to confession because you did the thing anyway?
Yo, 1 minute she's getting her drinks refilled, the next minute she's waking up and she's hearing the voice. I'm like, wait a minute. I appreciate, one thing I have to say is I appreciate she didn't like give me like, and then we. I'm like, I appreciate it. She goes, obviously I had to go to confession. So I went to confess this to Father Leon. Father Leon. I sat across from him in his office, watching him rub his temples like he already regrets being assigned to this parish. He exhales slow, trying his best to be pastoral, and says, Becky, you need to make better life choices. Okay, I know that. Then he tells me, leave him alone. Honestly, I was going to.
But
I really was. Until I found out the Anglican church he was going to be assigned to is 3 minutes from my apartment. That really threw a rock.
No, it didn't.
Sorry, that really threw a rock into the whole situation. Because it's right around the corner from the building.
It don't matter how fast you're going. If you're going over the speed of 25 miles an hour and you hit a speed bump, that's going to mess up your car, dog. She's doing 80 on the freeway and is about to hit a speed bump.
It's just like, not that I would, but like, I could. That's what she wrote. So, tell me, am I really supposed to believe in just coincidence?
It wasn't a coincidence. You made. I'll stop.
Because at this point, I don't think it's my fault. But hear me out. Is it even that bad? Because he's not even Catholic. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time I'm seeing Father Grant sit there go like, what? Do you need a recap?
Oh, I need a nightcap. Oh my goodness.
Hey, so here you go. So Becky's out here. She's out here. She's dancing, partying, boom, 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 champagne, refill, bottles.
Sounds fun.
It sounds dope. This party sounds dope.
Yeah.
And she meets this charming British dude, chatting her up. They be chatting. Next thing she know, she waking up in his room. There's a cross, a theology. Also, side note, the fact that she knew it was a theology textbook throws me.
I mean, does it say theology on the front?
Most theology textbooks don't, though. Think about it.
Yeah.
Like, how many theology textbooks do you know that actually says the word theology in the front?
That's true. It's like most like Heidegger or something like that.
Yeah.
That's philosophy.
But that's philosophy,
Yeah.
though. Like, so she's like, yeah, there's theology textbook on the desk, cross on the wall. And he's like, hey, what's up? Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm becoming a priest. And she's like, Nani?
Honestly, the first thing that she hears when she wakes up is I'm becoming a priest. That's a wild statement.
Like, the dude's reading the Bible. He's
Yes.
like, and God said, let there be light.
Because he had homework.
Like, yeah, he had homework he had to finish. And so he's reading the Bible out loud with her right next to him. And it's just like, yeah. And I was like, excuse me, I'm becoming a priest. And she's thinking, oh, it's a joke. You're joking. You're just a religious person. That's fine. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah. It's an Anglican. I'm becoming an Anglican priest. And then he just keeps flipping the book. Like, ain't nothing wrong with this.
Because he can get married. But she has to be married before he gets ordained in order for that to be okay.
Yeah. And I don't know what stage he's at. It doesn't say anything like, it is what it is. And so, like, he's like, yeah, I'm becoming an Anglican priest. And then, he hits her with, I thought you knew. This is the second time, like, someone.
I thought you knew was not an okay thing to say.
Someone was like,
That doesn't just exonerate you from wrongdoing.
I thought you knew.
I thought you knew.
I thought you knew.
I was like, if she knew, even if she knew, that's still not okay.
It's like, yo. And then she goes, like, obviously, I got to go to confession.
Yes.
So she went to confession.
Love that.
She went to Father Leon.
Love it.
Father Leon sitting there going, like, oh my gosh. Exactly what you did in studio. Just sitting there going, like, oh my gosh. And she's like, it looks like he regrets me even being sorry.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The fault is with the guy.
Yeah.
It's his fault.
Yeah. And then she found out, Father Leon gave her strict word, stay away from him. Just leave him alone.
Yes.
Leave him alone.
Yes.
You did what you did. You got confession. Now leave him alone. And she's like, I really was. But then I found out he's only 3 minutes away. 3 minutes. You know how fast that is? That is not that far away. That is right around the corner from my building. That is a jog. Now what do I do?
You still stay away.
What do I do?
You still stay away.
No, but you don't understand. Like, I can go for a walk and he can go for a walk, and now we meet and now we talk. I didn't ordain this.
He didn't get ordained either.
He's Anglican.
I know.
And she says, like, yo, is it really that bad since he's not a Catholic priest?
Yeah, kind of. No, it is.
Yeah. So give me your thoughts. What do you think?
The original question was, what?
Let's see. Is it really that bad since he's not a Catholic priest?
Not a Catholic priest.
Is it really that bad? Because he's not even a Catholic.
Yeah, it's still that bad. It's still sex before marriage. Like, it doesn't matter if he's not a Catholic priest. It doesn't matter what kind of denomination he is. Like, I'm not trying to chastise you, because honestly, it's his fault. Like, he knows what he's doing. You shouldn't be doing it. But it is going to be on you what happens after the confession and after this moment.
Yeah.
You really should stay away from this individual.
Yeah.
If you can help it, stay away from this individual, because he knows what he's doing. And there's a really good chance, a very good chance, that because he's tall and because he's handsome and because he's articulate and because he's charming, that you may or may not be the only person that this has happened to. And that's a worse heartbreaking idea to have. And nobody wants to see that kind of heartbreak in a situation that shouldn't be happening in the first place, hon. So that's why I'm telling you, stay away from him and just continue on your merry way. Make better choices. And I hope and pray that you find the person you're looking for.
Can I be real for a second? Am I allowed to be real for a second?
Feels like it's going to hurt.
I don't know. Can I be real for a second?
You don't need friction from me.
I don't think she cares, dog. Like, if I'm being real right now, let me be real. Listen, Dr. Gio, at one point in his life,
Which point?
you know what? At one point,
points.
what?
Huh?
You know what? I don't need this. Did I ask you? I did not ask you.
You asked the question before me. Yeah. Let's give me answers. I like answering questions.
Oh, word? Word?
We talking about me. We're talking about you.
Do we want to talk about?
Tell me what you think about this question.
Yo.
Can we sing that song? I don't even know.
No. That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. That's fine. I was gonna get real. I was gonna be like, yo, could we like figure out a way to do? No, I can't say that.
You're trying to get sued?
I'm not trying to get sued. No, I will say this though. I will say this. Listen, there's a time in my life where like this whole idea, we've had a couple of them now where it's like people are talking about like, yo, sexual infidelity, or like, hey, yo, I'm trying to like not have sex before marriage, all that stuff. Like, it's a struggle out in these streets. I'm just gonna say this. It's a struggle out in the streets. And like, there was a time in my life where it was a struggle for me. It was a struggle for me. Like back in college, dog, it was a struggle. And I can understand where she's been.
Yeah.
Where you're sitting there going like, yeah, that's 3 minutes though. Like, I don't technically have to do anything and I can still run into this person. How am I supposed to do it? And the problem that I've always had, like, especially in college, this was before like Father Hubert, like my mentor, like got a hold of me and said like, listen, you can intellectualize your way out of anything. That don't mean you're right. And I'm like, dang it.
God bless him.
But like, But the question I had though, and we talked it out, and it took a while for us to talk it out. It was just like, yo, if I'm trying to avoid something, or if I'm trying to like not engage in something, and it's so close, how do I avoid it? Because for me at the time, leaving was not an option. Getting a new place was not an option. Like, I wasn't going to uproot my entire life. And the fact that she knew it was a theology textbook, I'm going to let you know this right now. She's heavy in the church. Like, she's heavy in the church for her to know it's a theology textbook. There's only a handful of people that on sight of a title will be able to tell you that's a theology textbook. So the fact that she woke up and said, theology, and she started clocking image, like she clocked it real quick, and she sobered up. She knows what a seminarian is. She knows what a priest looks like. She knows what that life looks like, which tells me she has a mentor. Because that does not come just by simply facsimile of like life. Someone took her under their wing and said, "I'm going to teach you stuff because I want you to know this stuff, and I want you to get better. I want you to do whatever." And not necessarily because you're going to be in a religious life or anything like that. But they saw something in her, like, yeah, this is going to be great. So I read this and I go, yeah, no, I've been there. I've been there. Because your mentor is telling you one thing, right? And then you go and you live life. And then there's that disconnect between like your mentor, who is a religious person. They are Catholic priests, most likely. And then you are not in the religious life. And you sit there and go, now how am I supposed to do this? Because I can't retreat into a church. I don't have that option to retreat into a church. So what do I do to stop all that? And it takes a moment of clarity before you sit there and go, okay, I have to stop intellectualizing it. Like, I really have to stop intellectualizing it. Because at this point, what I'm recognizing is I just want to do it. But but it takes a while before you get there.
Absolutely.
And you say like, oh, okay, cool. I just want to do it. And so for her, she's like, yo, I want to do this, dog. Because, like, yo, she's and I don't think she's like, I'll let you know it's free. She don't care if he's doing it with other people. She don't care at all. Because she's like, yo, it is what it is. Chalk it up to the game. Like, it is what it is. It's like, it is what it is. And so, like, the lifestyle that she's living currently is reflective of one where she's just like, yo, I'm on this journey. I'm trying to live my life a certain way. This happened. I clocked it, and immediately I'm like, yo, I got to go to confession. Again, tells me she's living a very strict life with a mentor. Because that is the type of thing that gets ingrained in you because you have someone else teaching you day in and day out.
Yes.
That's not something you get organically through reading your own stuff. Like, nah.
That's true.
Nah.
That's true.
Nah. So because of that, I give her a 1. Because that's exactly the score I would have given myself.
But he's reformed, ladies and gentlemen.
I am. I've come such a long way.
No, you really have.
If it wasn't for Father Hubert, I feel like I had 2 mentors in my life that were so instrumental. Father Hubert and Monsignor Fiore. Both of them died. But without both of those men in my life, I don't think I would ever be anywhere near where I am now.
Yes.
And so, like, my understanding of the church, my knowledge of the church, my, like, love of the church, everything that I have comes from the fact that they took the time to show me a way to say, like, hey, faith is not weird.
Yes.
Your Catholicism is not weird. Let me show you how cool it can be. And they were just some cool dudes, man. Some cool dudes. How awesome it is. Like, you know, I was a 10-year-old kid walking up. Monsignor Fiore takes me aside. He's like, hey, let me show you something. I was like, what? He goes into his room, opens up a container, pulls out a brand new, at the time, brand new Lego set. Completely done. He's like, how you like that? I was like, he's like, yeah. The Star Wars series, huh? And I'm like, yo, you got this? He's like, yeah. Yeah, they don't even make these no more. I'm like, yo. But I mean, like, it was just little stuff like that. Like, he had all the swagger, all the charisma, all the stuff. He was an old Italian man. Like, he was just like, yeah. And the way he talked, he's like, yeah, you know, like this the thing. Papa Francisco, like that was his, like, he, like, you know. So they made it cool for me. And I'm telling you, without them, I wouldn't be Catholic. So I give it 1. That's old life. That's old life stuff. She gonna get over it, but it's
Yeah.
gonna take some time.
Yeah.
What you give?
I'll give her a 2.
How you? Okay. Okay. Explain this to me, because I know exactly off air what you would tell me, and you wouldn't even give me the grace of a 1. So don't even. I want to know how she made it to a 2. Look me in my eye while you explain this to me.
Someone's a little salty.
The salty does not begin to tell me. Tell me. How does that work?
I'm going to say it's a 2 because at first she was making a bad decision in the first place. But she made the bad decision. At the same time, homeboy made his bad decision with full knowledge of who he was and what he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
She made the bad decision of like, I have full knowledge that I am alone in these streets and I'm going to go ahead and do what I want to do. I've been wooed. I've been swept off my feet.
Wait, whoa, what? Wait a minute.
And then she blinked and then she woke up the next day. That's not on me. She thought that she was choosing, like she was having like her own love story. Like she thought she was having like a good time and a good night. And she was. And this would have been in her mind, if she were to tell the story again without the part that him being a priest, this would have been a happy story when she tells somebody else. Yes or no?
I mean, yeah.
She would have gotten what she wanted.
What?
She had the great night and she had the great ending from her perspective.
Yeah, I guess.
So
I guess.
for that reason, I'm going to give her a 2 because honestly, if it wasn't for homeboy saying, I'm going to be a priest, she wouldn't be writing us at all. She'd be happy as heck with her life.
You got our ratings. What you think? Were we right? Were we wrong? You don't punk out like Father Greg?
Yo, he just doesn't like what it is. He doesn't like me showing mercy to somebody.
Show mercy to your own brother. Damn, you were a hoe. Hey, how you gonna, wow. But hear me out.
No doubt, just lean in close, just hear me out. Hear me out. Give me time, let me speak, no doubt. The truths in my words, the winds will shout. All I'm asking.
That bad?
So I don't really know how to even put it, because the struggle here is that there's a weird line that comes with this.
Oh.
And it's this balance between mental health and spirituality.
Okay.
And so I got asked this question, and it's like, how do I deal with anxiety with faith? And I struggle with this a little bit, because when you talk about like anxiety, there's like 2 forms of anxiety. There's clinical anxiety, and then there's like just the regular anxiety that you have to deal with. The person that asked me was trying to deal with clinical anxiety through faith. And I was like, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
And so I was reading, and I'm like, well, that's not what I'm actually trying to say. So I have to formulate this the right way. So here's the thing. How do you deal with the everyday anxieties that are associated with things that you don't have any control over? So if I'm dealing with like, I don't know if I'm good enough for somebody else, how do I let that go in prayer? Or with my faith, how does my faith teach me to let that go? Or how do I handle that? Or like if I'm dealing with self-image issues and I'm just like, hey, I've worked on it, I've done all these things, but even within that, there is that component of like, at some point, I'm going to have to let it go, because there's an aspect of evaluation that's not mine anymore. Someone else is going to do that.
Yes.
So how does my faith kind of help me manage dealing with like going into a situation and anticipating like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be judged by this, or oh my gosh, like this is incredibly fearful because it might not go the way that I want it to go?
That's a good question. Okay. Well, let's look at it this way. Let's start here.
Okay.
One of the best things about being Catholic is that our center and our source of which we get our direction, in which we get our self-worth, is not ourselves. That is so important, because for just this example, I'm going to go ahead and define anxiety, non-clinical anxiety, as a fear of something that is to come that has not happened yet. Right?
Yep.
And so there will be a body's natural response to try to protect us from said thing that has not happened yet, that might happen or may not happen. Right? So,
Or like to remind us of something.
or to remind us of something.
Right.
And that is to say that everyone has a certain level of anxiety. If you don't have any anxiety, that's also a clinical problem.
Right.
There are things anxiety is there to help us, like as a tool to say, all right, cool, this is important. You need to try your best at this. This is important. You need to either look your best, you need to be your best. At some point, the lights are going to be on and you need to either perform or get off the stage. That's anxiety, objectively speaking, for this example. That is also to say, as you move forward, your faith, what you believe about yourself, your self-esteem, all of that comes from the source of knowing who you are according to what God says about you. I will say that again. According to what God says about you, that is from what you draw your identity, your definition, your direction in life. That is where you start. If you start anywhere else, this is a guarantee. If you start anywhere else, you will end in disarray. Because everything else that is based within this world, though it is created good, it is not God himself. It comes from God. It's a derivative of God, but it's not the same thing. For example, if you say to yourself, I am an amazing pianist, the best pianist that there is in my high school. I'm first chair. No one else is even close. Second chair can't touch me. And then you graduate from that high school. Now you are the best pianist in that high school that graduated. And so you're going to go on to the next place. Okay, now you're going to, let's say, Juilliard, one of the best schools for arts, objectively speaking. And you're third chair as a pianist. You say, okay, now I have something to aspire to. I need to get to the first chair. And you work your tail off, and you work and you work and you work and you work hours and days and weeks and months and years until you're a senior at Juilliard. And you look at that list and you're number 2 at pianist. So you're not the greatest pianist anymore. You're the second greatest pianist. And does that mean that you're going to take your entire identity off of that? And so what happens when you graduate from Juilliard and you go into the real world? Well, I'm the second greatest pianist at Juilliard, so I should get a job on Broadway. I should get a job in the whatever type of direction you want to do, but you don't. Does that mean you're no longer the greatest pianist? But I was the greatest pianist in high school. Does it mean you have to revert now? Can you not be a good daughter, a good son? Can you not be a good friend? Can you not be any of these other things? All this is to say that your entire direction and understanding of life comes from God first. God who's spoken to not only your ears, but your very soul and said, you are my beloved child. Everything else moves from there. That controls your relationships and what you decide is going to be important in your life, the people that you date, the people that you decide to keep around you, what you decide to do as an occupation. That informs that too. You wouldn't believe it. I've spoken to people who are doctors who think to themselves, I'm practicing medicine and I've been told to prescribe birth control, but I'm Catholic. Father, what do I do? Or I spoke to a lawyer one time. He said, I deal with a ton of divorces and I don't want to go ahead and let that go. I don't want to be in charge of that anymore. Father, what do I do? Everything that we know about God tells us that he looks at us with such great, immense love that it's hard to, once you accept that, once you let that go into your soul, you can't go back. You can't go back to thinking that everything is hunky-dory, that I can continue to do whatever I want. We can't. As you move forward, and to anybody who's listening to this, as we continue to move forward to make these decisions, understand this. God loved us first, created us first, and is the wind and the sails that has pushed us in a direction. He will continue to be our compass if we allow him to. Keep following your compass.
Yep. So, I mean, that's good. And that's always been my thing of like that line between faith and reason. Like, where does that exist? And, you know, you made a lot of good points. You made a lot of good points. And at the end of the day, God is your compass.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, God is your compass. And realistically, the only way for him to be your compass is if you understand yourself.
Absolutely.
And know what you are and are not good at and really have that barrier for it. So, like, yeah, I mean, again.
That's going to take away the anxiety by a long shot.
Yeah. Yeah. If you demystify a lot of it, then. But that spirituality component does become a really big thing because a lot of people just like, yo, how do I got to pray about it. But like,
exactly. Well, if you trust in the Lord, and I know that I don't want this to sound like a once over thing, but if you give real trust to the Lord, a lot of the other small stuff, the little petty anxieties, that goes away. It falls to the wayside.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people like, it's hard to believe that.
Oh, of course.
When you don't really see it as often.
Of course.
Because you don't have a lot of people doing that around you. So you're just like, am I going to be the first one to do this? Oh, okay. You do it first. Let me know how it goes for you. And then I'll do it after you.
Oh, yes.
Like that type of thing. But, you know, it's a lot to think about. Like always. Thank you, man.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
That's what I do.
Whew, man, that's a lot, man.
Lordy.
Good Lord. My day was so hot.
It was.
No, it really was. That took a lot out of me. I don't know what I was going to do. But you know what? We're at the end. We love all of you. For all of us here at Spirit Stream Studios.
Glory.
I am Dr. Giovanni.
And I'm Father Greg Lambert.
We love you. You're very special.
Go forth and bear good fruit.
Peace.
Father to Father is a production of Spirit Stream Studios. All rights reserved.